Chapter 5. Immigrating 150,000 kilometers. I was born in Poland in 1983 and arrived in Australia in 1992 with my parents, older sister and older brother. I am the baby. But my journey to Australia began long before I was even born. After World War II, 1945, Poland was under Soviet communist dominance. In 1981, martial law was declared. Times were extremely tough. Innocent people were thrown into prison without a trial due to what political party they supported or their religious beliefs. You had to have special permits to buy items in shops. However, there was hardly any stock anywhere. My parents wanted to leave Poland to have a better life. My father's sister already lived in Toronto, Canada, and agreed to sponsor my parents, brother and sister. I didn't exist then, to immigrate to Canada in 1982. However, in a place where there was no democracy, you were unable to obtain a passport and leave the country as you wished. Many people left Poland illegally and stayed in refugee camps in Italy or Austria. After 7 long years of traveling hundreds of kilometers by train to the capital Warsaw to do medical tests, apply for passports, etc., my parents were finally granted permission to migrate to Canada in 1989. At that time, I was already in the world. So a family of 5 was going to leave Poland for good, but at the moment when my parents were given permission to go, my aunt in Canada withdrew her sponsorship, saying that she no longer wished to have us. My parents' situation was very difficult. My dad was on a blacklist, which meant that no one would employ him, even though he was very educated. So as a result, my dad began working in East Germany as a Polish-German translator. Dad would work in Germany from Monday to Friday, then be on the train for 15 hours to come back home for the weekend. With the fall of the Berlin Wall on the 9th of November 1989, things got even better for my dad, as the German currency, the Deutschmark, increased in value, which meant that my dad brought more money home back to Poland. I still remember when my parents bought a color TV, and later on we were one of the very few people in our village that owned a car. In the same year, 1989, my father's sister withdrew her invitation to Canada. My mother's uncle in Australia invited us to the land down under. My great uncle migrated to Australia with his wife after World War II. And so began the next process of applying to leave Poland, but this time to Australia. Back then, people didn't seem to have internet or even telephones at home or vehicles. Every application needed medical examinations of the whole family in the capital Warsaw. It was very time-consuming and a very expensive process, especially that the applications kept on being rejected. They found fault with anything and everything. You would think that any sane person would just give up, but not my dad. Then suddenly, 3 years later, in early July 1992, my parents, siblings and I were issued with Polish passports, and we were given 3 weeks to pack up our life and leave the country. My parents were practically giving away furniture, pot plants, anything and everything. Whatever they could, they tried to sell. We have a huge family. In my mom's family there were 8 children, while in my dad's family there were 10. And we wanted to say goodbye to all of them. So among packing up, we also traveled around Poland to say our farewell to loved ones. With some of them, it would be the very last time we were to see them. I remember in 1992, as a 9-year-old girl, I was very stressed as I wanted to take all my toys and dolls. But of course, there were many more important things my parents wanted to take in the 5 suitcases, 1 per person. We were allowed to have. I overheard my dad telling my mom that he would remove my toys at night and when I would be asleep. My mom stuck up for me and told him not to traumatize me. We left Poland permanently on the 22nd of July 1992. Lots of family members made the 5-hour-long trip with us to the Warsaw airport. I didn't understand why my mom and her sisters were all emotional. At 9 years of age, I didn't care where I was, as long as I was with mom and dad. I was so excited being on a plane. We have video footage of that. Dad bought a video camera in Germany. We had a stopover in Bombay, India. Now it's called Mumbai. Then we stopped in Sydney for a few hours, where my mother's sister and her family greeted us, waving Australian and Polish flags. On the 24th of July 1992, we arrived at our destination. A brand new chapter of our lives was about to begin. My great uncle and his wife greeted us up at the airport. My first impression of Australia was that it was cold. All my life I had been told that it's always hot in Australia, but when we arrived in July, it was definitely not hot. I then noticed palm trees. I had never seen them before. When we arrived at the great uncle's house, we wanted to eat. I thought I was putting Nutella on a piece of bread, but it was Vegemite. When I took a bite of my toast and tasted Vegemite, I started to cry. I thought that it was cold in Australia and that the food tasted terrible. I started school not knowing a word of English. I was in a class with other children from all over the world who also didn't speak the language. But somehow we all communicated and got along. Now, 24 years later, I am 33 years old. I am eternally grateful for my parents' sacrifice, for everything they did, in order so that I could have a better life and endless opportunities in the land of plenty. So, in a nutshell, it took my parents 10 years to leave Poland, from 1982 to 1992. And who knows, maybe if they did go to Canada in 1982, maybe I wouldn't even be born.